Everything I did, anything I did, it was never good enough. If I got all A's but one B, the focus was on the B.
Laurie Ishii grew up in a Southern California home where her father's lack of approval and his high standards for success were hard for her to live up to. Laurie felt the same way about God.
I saw God as a taskmaster, just a mean, judgmental, condemning God. If you're not perfect, you're going to go to hell. So I was like, well, I'm going to hell and I'm going to earn my way there.
As she got older, she rebelled against her father's iron rule and against God through drugs, sex, and Asian street gang violence.
I liked the fighting. I liked the drive-by shootings. I liked seeing the violence. And that really was what I knew. Get mad at somebody, hit him.
Laurie was shot by a rival gang in a drive-by shooting. As she lay bleeding in the street with a bullet lodged near her spine, her thoughts turned to where she might spend eternity if she died.
Because of the way I was living, I knew I wasn't going to go to heaven if I were going to die.
Laurie recovered and left the gang, but didn't leave her destructive lifestyle.
Drugs became my focus, and I was a crack whore, basically, or a coke whore. Just have sex for drugs.
She was living with 3 guys when one of them became a Christian.
I watched him. I really watched him, and I saw God change his life.
Then one day at her mother's house, she felt compelled to pick up a Bible.
In Psalm 51, I didn't, where it says that against you and you only have I sinned, I didn't realize, oh my gosh, my sin, the things I'm doing is actually against God, and that blew my mind. And in my own way, I prayed and just said, God, if you'll take away, the drug addiction and my desire to use drugs, I'll serve you.
And what happened to the desire for drugs?
It was gone. I stopped smoking cigarettes, everything.
Laurie began a new relationship with Jesus Christ. She married and had a son. This would be a great place to end her story, but the real test lay ahead. Pain began to radiate through her body. It was fibromyalgia. Her drug of choice to ease the pain became heroin, and she was hooked.
There's something about when you're a junkie and you're truly dependent on heroin to survive, just to live. It's so hard because you can't do anything without having the drug. And so you will stoop to the lowest lows to just get what you have to get. By this time, I had been taking my son with me to the drug dealer, literally taking him, leaving him in one room to play with a toy and going to have sex with the drug dealer for drugs, in the other room. And, I remember just saying, what have I become?
Laurie moved in with a heroin-addicted friend and left her son with her husband.
When I was leaving, I had my son, and he was, holding on to me, just saying, Mommy, please don't leave me. And, I couldn't just stay. I couldn't. I had to go and get high.
What did you think was your alternative at this point?
Suicide.
After several failed attempts, she devised a desperate plan to kill herself.
And I went up to the roof of my 8-story apartment, and I don't know if I fell or jumped.
A small tree broke her fall, but Laurie still landed on her head. Once she came out of the coma, she faced months of rehabilitation. Laurie had to learn to read, write, and walk all over again. As soon as the hospital released her, the craving for drugs drew her back to the streets. She was on a bus headed to downtown LA's Skid Row to score heroin when she says God got her attention again.
I heard a voice, and it was the Lord, and he said, Laurie, you're going to die out here a junkie if you don't turn around and serve me.
Laurie returned to the Christian halfway house where she'd stayed before, but this time with a different outlook.
it was a journey of just a totally different relationship with God. I had the fear of God that I had never had before, but not a sick fear, not a I'm scared of him that he's gonna whoop me if I do something wrong. It was like a respect, an awe.
Laurie ministers to the street people of Hollywood and targets pimps and prostitutes. Her hope is that they will experience the same love from God that took her from certain death to a new life in Christ.
God could have taken my life in just a second, but he chose to have mercy on me and allow me to live. I didn't deserve anything but hell. I didn't deserve his grace or his mercy. I didn't deserve anything. And it just blew me away. I had such a sense of God's love that, oh my gosh, after all I've done, he loves me.